All right, we need to have a talk, and it's about your stress and anxiety levels. It's about you being in constant fight or flight mode, always worrying about everything, not knowing where you're going in life, not knowing what to do with anything. I want to talk about it. Now, if you're anything like me, which there's a highly likely chance if you're watching this video you are, you're going through what I have gone through in the past. And that's this constant feeling of not knowing where you're going, this constant feeling of always being stressed out, always having insane anxiety, always being in panic, paranoia mode. And like, you have all these things that you want to do, but anytime that you go to do them, you either get really tired or you just start to feel super burnt out, or you start getting like super bad anxiety. So then you go and you try to sit down for a second to kind of relax and recoup before you start doing it. And then you can't even relax because you're so damn anxious. So then you go get up again. You just kind of get stuck in this loop of like, do I do the thing? Do I not do the thing? Do I do the thing? Do I not do the thing? And you get stuck in this decision fatigue. And you just don't know what to do with anything. You don't know what to do with your life. You can't make decisions. There is my light. I should plug that in. And you're just lost. All right, we're charging it back up now. If you have felt like this in the past, or you still feel like this right now, then there's a big problem. And the thing about problems that's so great is you can fix problems. If there's no problem to fix, then I mean, you're just kind of stuck where you're at, you know? But if there's actually a problem and we can actually identify that there is a problem and what the problem is, then we can fix the problem, okay? And the problem comes down to a few things. Besides the surface level one, that we know you're stressed out, we know you have a lot of anxiety, we know you're not in the best shape that you were really hoping you would be, we know your sleep's not good, we know all these things, right? We know you're not locked in like you need to be. We know you're just kind of stuck in this analysis paralysis loop and this decision fatigue loop that you don't really know where you're going. We know these things, but why are we having these issues? Why are we having these issues? Well, it comes down to the core principles of the things I always talk about: fitness, nutrition, habits, and mindset. And how does it come down to those core principles? Is because if your nutrition is messed up and your body is not getting the proper micro and macronutrients that it needs in order to function, then you're going to be destroying your gut, which then is going to be causing more nutrient malabsorption, which then leads to a bunch of the neurotransmitters in your brain getting dysregulated, a bunch of your hormones getting dysregulated, and then now you're going from this state of already kind of being lazy and not doing anything to now crashing your hormones and ruining your neurotransmitters because you're being lazy. And then you're causing an even bigger problem, which makes you even feel even more like shit, which then dysregulates everything, and you get stuck in the cycle of not only do you have a decision problem, not only do you have a laziness problem, but now you have an actual physical health problem. You've got a hormone problem and you've got a neurotransmitter problem. So now, dude, you have so many problems that you never even could have fathomed. Your testosterone is low, your estrogen levels are all messed up, your dopamine receptors are way too downregulated, you're not getting enough serotonin, your norepinephrine is like way too high, constant fight or flight mode. I mean, dude, you're screwed. And even though you're so screwed, you can at least now fix it. You at least have a problem to say, okay, if I can figure out the solution to this problem, I know that I'm going to get better, and I know that things are going to work out. And that is awesome. Now, here's the thing that sucks about it, is that it's going to be way harder to dig yourself out of that hole than it was to dig yourself into that hole. But at the same time, the only option that you actually have is to dig yourself out of that hole. If you keep on digging yourself in the hole deeper and deeper and deeper, it's just going to get more and more difficult to get yourself out of the hole. So you have to start getting out of the hole now. You have to dig yourself out of the hole now, because if you don't, you're going to get to the point of near no return. And as soon as you get to that point, besides the extreme amount of pain that you have accumulated that's going to help push you out of that hole, all the other forces dragging down are just as strong. Just as strong. So it's going to be a battle to get out of there. And if you are at the point of no return, then, I mean, nice. If you are at the point of no return, it's not truly the point of no return. It feels like it, but there is still a way out. And the way out of there is the same way you get out of your small hole, your medium-sized hole, or your somewhat deep hole. It's all the same thing. And it comes down to, first off, you need to actually start building up some good habits. You need to start getting better sleep. This is the first thing we're going to focus on. If we can focus on actually making sure that you're sleeping 7-8 hours a night, no more, no less. The only reason you would need to sleep more than 8 hours a night is if you have a time period where you're chronically sleep deprived. So if right now you're chronically sleep deprived, you need to be getting your 7-8 hours of sleep a night, and then Saturday, Sunday night, you need to be sleeping like 10 through 12 hours. That way your body can actually start to recover from all the sleep debt that you have built up. And then once you've paid off that sleep debt, you can go back to the consistent 7-8 hours of sleep a night, maybe 9 hours of sleep a night. But you don't really need to be sleeping more than that, because then you're wasting hours in the day that you could be progressing, that you could be getting things done. And how do you get better sleep? One of the best things that you can do that I did recently was set a Google Calendar. Make a Google Calendar, and each day schedule out the things that you're going to do during that day. If it's like a work week and you work a consistent schedule where it's kind of like you're kind of always doing the same thing each week, Monday through Friday, or whatever your work days are, you can choose to repeat like those days. So say you set a schedule for Monday, and it's like you have your wake time, you have your morning routine set up, you have your breakfast time, your gym time, your work time, your drive to work, everything, your time that you get ready for bed, and it's scheduled in for the time you're going to go to sleep. If you have all that stuff set up, you can like go on there and choose, okay, I'm going to repeat it so that it repeats on these days that I do the exact same tasks. So that makes that super simple. And for the days that you don't, you would just fill out the calendar the night before, the week before, whatever it may be, so that okay, for me, since I go to bed super early and get up super early, 4 p.m. is coming around. I'm like, okay, I've got to be in bed and I've got to be asleep in about a half hour. Something else that you can do that I use, which works great, is you can go on Amazon, buy yourself some melatonin powder, and just take some melatonin right before you go to bed. That way you know that in 15 minutes you're going to be asleep, and you're going to sleep through the night. Melatonin has health benefits. You can't take too much melatonin. The only thing is that if you do take Some people are able to take a lot more than other people. If you're a person that can't handle a lot of melatonin, you're just going to notice after taking it for about 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, you're going to start to become... My radar detector's going off. Apologize about the beep. If you're a person that can't handle a lot of melatonin, then what's going to happen is you're going to end up just kind of feeling tired during the day, and you're just going to feel a little bit lethargic and just kind of a little bit out of it. That's how you know you're using too much melatonin. Otherwise, you can use 100 milligrams a night if you really need to in order to actually get yourself to sleep. For me personally, 25-30 milligrams right before I go to bed seems to be perfect. I wake up, I feel refreshed. The first few times you use it, you're going to feel groggy. You're also going to want to taper up your dose. Start at like 2 milligrams. Start by getting the tablets and take 2 milligrams and then move up to 5 and then move up to 10, 15, and you can just slowly taper it up until you found the dose that works for you. You're going to have to go up and down and kind of find the balance of that. But, you can do that. Melatonin also doesn't actually, like when you take melatonin, it only makes your body stop producing melatonin the night you took it. So it doesn't mess up your body's melatonin function. There was some study that went around for a while that said, oh, you can't take melatonin because it's going to make you not produce it for a long time. That's not true. You only don't produce it while you're taking it. So that's why some people will take a really low dose and then they won't sleep as well because they ended up supplementing with it and now their body had less than they really needed. But as soon as you get that dosage right, your sleep's going to be on point. So let's recap real quick. First step, recover your sleep by setting a Google Calendar, using some melatonin. You could even use something like pregnenolone, which is one of your body's natural neurosteroids. It kind of is responsible for the more rest and digest mood and kind of help with anxiety, help with adjusting cortisol. You can take a little bit of ashwagandha before bed as well. All these things combined, that's going to cause you to go into a more deep sleep. You're going to be sleeping better. That's going to just cause a whole bunch of good things to happen. You want your sleep to be on point. Now that your sleep is on point, we're going to get your hydration on point. Start drinking a gallon of water a day. What's an easy way to drink a gallon of water a day? Go buy 7 1-gallon jugs each time you go to the store to meal prep. If you buy the jugs and you just drink 1 a day, then that makes it super simple. I'm going to unplug this thing for now. If you buy 1 jug a day, you can hear mine rolling around, and just drink that, you know that you got a gallon of water in. But if you don't and you're trying to do like the water bottles, you can, as long as you can keep on top of it, but the water bottles end up being about 5 times more expensive, and you don't actually know how many water bottles you drank. Unless you take 8 water bottles with you, which is a gallon of water, and like you drink those throughout the day, the water bottles are easier to get more water down sometimes because it's kind of a mental trick. But still, it does to make it a little bit difficult to monitor sometimes. So you gotta think about it like that. You gotta think about what's gonna work best for you. We're playing the long game here. What's gonna hold up for the longest for you? What's worked the best for me is always using the gallon jugs and just drinking 1 of those a day. They're about $1.50. You end up spending about $12 to $15 for a week's worth of water. It's really not that bad. Now we've covered sleep, hydration. Of course, you need to start eating better. I want you to start eating more red meat. Red meat is filled with all kind of nutrients. Red meat has lots of creatine in it. Red meat is just a lot more anabolic. You're gonna get a lot better muscle growth from red meat. Chicken is not bad, but the thing with chicken is chicken and turkey just don't have a whole lot of micronutrients. Red meat is gonna fill your body with a lot more nutrients that it actually needs to begin doing what it needs to do, producing more muscle mass, recovering better, all kinds of things. Red meat is a very good thing to use. As well as, instead of using like the Pam spray on your pan, use butter instead and get the cholesterol from that. The cholesterol is going to be boosting your testosterone. And that leads into another thing. One of the bigger reasons that you feel so shitty, like I said before, is because your testosterone is so low. Things like cholesterol are actually responsible for your body's testosterone production. That's one of the most important things for testosterone production. And the cholesterol that you eat in food doesn't directly translate to the cholesterol that you see like on your blood work. It's not the same thing. It was thought that in the past that if you eat a bunch of cholesterol, then you're going to have too much cholesterol in your blood. It doesn't work that way. Eat your eggs, get your egg yolks, have your butter. You want the cholesterol. You don't want to be consuming too much fat because fat is high in calories, but you don't want to be consuming too low. If you drop your fat too low, you're gonna mess with your nutrient absorption as well. You're gonna lower your testosterone as well. You're gonna mess with your thyroid function as well, and that's no good. Another thing that you can experiment with supplementing is, since I was just talking about the thyroid, is iodine. A lot of people are super deficient in iodine, and iodine is responsible for your thyroid production. All you need to do is go on Amazon. I prefer the NutriCost brand just because it's cost effective and it's decent quality. Get whatever one they have, their lowest dose one, and just take one of those pills a day. That's going to be enough just to put you in that more optimal range. It's not going to be too much where you're having any problems from taking too much iodine, but that's going to fix a lot of those problems. Unless you're having like a lot of ionized salt or something like that, supplementing with a low dose of iodine is going to do nothing but improve your overall well-being. Now, these are also things that you need to be doing for months. If you just do it real quick for one night, you're not going to be fixing a problem. You're going to be getting an idea of what it would be like to fix the problem because you're going to know the habits you would have to do, and that's great, but that's not actually fixing the problem. You need momentum, you need repetition. You need to be doing this over and over again. You need to be sleeping better, you need to be eating better, you need to be hydrating, you need to be focusing on optimizing your hormones. Your hormones are going to play a huge role as well into how much sleep you're getting. Just like how not sleeping enough is going to crash your testosterone, if your testosterone is low, you're also not going to be sleeping as well. So it's kind of like something that goes back and forth, and then they just end up screwing each other over and over and over again. You don't want low testosterone. You don't want low thyroid hormone. You don't want poor sleep. You don't want poor nutrition. You need to focus on these things. After you've corrected all these things, I want you to also stop scrolling on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube Shorts for so damn long. What you're doing is you're giving your brain so much quick dopamine that you're doing something called down-regulating your dopamine receptors. I know you guys know what a tolerance is. Like a lot of you probably have smoked a lot of weed in the past or still do, and you get the weed tolerance. What the weed tolerance actually is that receptor that the cannabinoid goes onto starts to do something called down-regulating. It basically becomes less sensitive. Now your dopamine does the same thing. You basically build a dopamine tolerance. So you need more and more dopamine in order to feel dopamine. And the more you feed yourself, the more you downregulate that receptor, and the more problems you begin to cause. If you would cut out dopamine for a while, yes, you're going to feel numb, you're going to feel tired, you're going to be bored as hell. Focus on your sleep, focus on your hydration, focus on your nutrition. It's going to suck for a little while, but you're going to end up fixing yourself. You're going to start to upregulate those receptors, and you're going to start to feel so much better. You're going to think clearer, you're going to have better sleep, you're going to once again improve your testosterone, the whole 9 yards. There's no negatives, only positives. But if you don't do these things, you're just going to be stuck in this loop of feeling that stress, feeling that anxiety, and not liking who you are. You don't like who you are because so many chemicals in your brain and your body are just screwed up and not functioning properly. As well as while you're doing all these things, you need to be practicing progressive overload. What is that? Training more, training harder, increasing your weight in reps in the gym. The harder you train and the more you train, the more muscle mass you build. That is going to also boost your testosterone. You need the sleep, though, to get the muscle growth. So you need the sleep for the testosterone, you need the training for the testosterone, but then you need the sleep for the training. You see how these things, you need the nutrition so that you're fueled, so that you can grow. You see how these things all play in this big loop and they like all bounce off each other like a pinball machine? It seems like so much complicated shit because there's so many things that matter. And you have all these things out of whack. Not just one thing, but you got everything screwed up. Dude, why do you think that you feel this way? Because your body is so messed up. Your brain is so messed up. You actually do have something wrong with you. But it's something that you can fix. It's something that you can fix. And by implementing things like all the things I just mentioned, as well as things like a morning routine. A morning routine is a consistent routine you are doing each and every morning. And you're practicing staying off your phone and doing something consistently that you don't want to do each and every single morning. And what does that do? That also helps upregulate your dopamine receptors each and every single day so that they are primed for the day to actually function properly. And all these things work together in one harmony to create the optimal version and the best version of yourself. And I'm just literally just scratching the surface of it. There are so many additional things, supplements, just routines, ways you can train, ways you can eat, so many different ways and things you can add on top and implement to this to improve your life even more. But even the core basic things that I have mentioned are so important, because if you don't do those things, none of the other things that I could tell you are gonna do anything, because you don't have the core foundational principles set up. And you don't need to add the supplements in right now if you don't have the money for it. All you need to do is begin doing the basic things. Sleeping more, drinking more water, staying hydrated, eating better. Meal prepping is going to allow you to keep on track with your diet. It's going to allow you to not have all these options when you're eating. If you only have one option, that's all you have to eat. You know you're going to eat healthy, versus you have a million options. It makes it so much easier to eat like shit. But if you don't actually practice these things, it's no good for you. It's great to know them, but if you don't implement them into your life, think about it, dude. What's the point? You're not really gonna go anywhere with it, because you're just thinking about it. You can't just think about things all day and hope that it's gonna come true. It's a waste of time. I know you understand what I'm saying, but you have a serious problem, and your serious problem is the exact problem that I had in the past. And I solved that problem, and so can you. And I literally just told you the exact ways I solved that problem. I literally just told you how to do it. So if you want to listen to it all and say, I don't know if that's right for me, that is your problem. That's another problem that you got to figure out. Why do you think it's not right for you? Because you would rather be lazy and you'd rather suffer more? I don't really think you want to suffer anymore, dude. So why not just give it a try? Say for the next 3 to 6 months, I'm just going to go all in and lock in and actually make this work. I'm actually going to fix myself. Even for the next year, even for the next 2 years, give yourself a time frame. Say, I'm going to try this for X amount of time and see if it actually works. And I can guarantee you it's going to work by the end. But if you can at least go into it with a mindset of, I'm just going to see if it works, and if it doesn't, then I'll try something else, you at least get to see what works for you. But if you don't ever try, you're going to live with stress and anxiety your whole life. And that's not a life worth living.